Look around you. Zakul is poised to become the greatest civilization in the history of the galaxy. I have forged this empire to surmount all of my previous works, to span eternity. The Eternal Throne commands a fleet more vast than any ever built. It has the power to reshape the galaxy into any image that I choose. That we choose. I will share all of this with you, if you will only kneel.
Eternal Emperor Valkorion, also known as Lord Vitiate or Tenebrae, is a subject that we love to cover here on the channel, as one of the most mysterious and enigmatic dark side entities of all time, and especially the Old Republic era. Throughout the history of YouTube, I have seen very few videos covering the fame and power of Lord Tenebrae, the story of the most powerful Sith Lord to have ever lived. Tenebrae is, in my mind, the undisputed most powerful Dark Lord to have ever existed, and perhaps the most powerful dark side mortal force user ever, nearly becoming an immortal force god. Darth Tenebrae continued to influence the galaxy, and having an enormous psychological influence millennia after his death, even into the era of Darth Plagueis and Darth Sidious, where Plagueis mused that Vitiate was the only one who ever held the secret to attaining immortality, as he was obsessed with his fanatical goal to get immortality. However, today we are going to be covering something quite unique, and we are going to be covering the Eternal Empire, Valkorion's greatest weapon that he never engineered or designed through any dark side practices. And his fleet, the Eternal Empire, the fleet that subjugated the galaxy and ripped it out of the hands of both the Jedi and the Sith, carving a path of destruction right through the galactic war that had plagued the galaxy for decades. Anyway, without further ado, acolyte to the Eternal Empire, join us aboard the Eternal Throne. The Eternal Empire, also known as the colloquy of the Eternal Empire of Zakul, or the Zakulian Empire, was a totalitarian dictatorship in the Outer Rim in wild space, based on the wild space planet Zakul. It was led by Emperor Valkorion sometime before the Galactic War that Valkorion sought to use and reshape the galaxy. Valkorion utilized the Empire's Eternal Fleet to battle both the Galactic Republic, the Jedi, and the reconstituted Sith Empire on multiple wars, which the Eternal Empire won, thus forcing both the Republic and the Sith Empire to be its puppet states until the war against Zakul, establishing total dictatorship and dominion over the entire galaxy. Sometime between the ritual of Nathema and the Great Galactic War, Vitiate, the Sith Empire, ventured into wild space in search of the Eternal Fleet, a supposedly unstoppable fleet of warships commanded by sentient droids that was created many millennia ago by a technologically advanced species very similar to the Qua and the Rakata. His journey brought him to the wild space planet of Zakul, where he uncovered a culture of superstitious humans who worshipped a pantheon of ruthless old gods. Taking on the identity of Valkorion, a well-known human warrior of the planet, he unified the nomadic and divided tribes of Zakul into a civilization utterly devoted and fanatically loyal to him. Creating the Eternal Empire, he installed himself as their immortal emperor, and formed new force-sensitive orders called the Knights of Zakul to serve as his special forces. A subgroup of knights called Seons of Zakul used their visions to locate the Eternal Fleet and enslaved the sentient Gemini droids to his eternal throne, binding their very will to his. The Eternal Empire remained hidden until the Galactic War, when Valkorion's twin sons, Arcan and Thexan, proposed to their father a preemptive strike against the greater galaxy in order to test the formidability and preparedness of the Galactic Republic and reconstitute Sith Empire. Not knowing that their father was actually the current ruler of the Sith Empire, Valkorion sanctioned their proposal, but commanded that only Thexan would lead their forces, stoking fury within Arcan. Arcan disobeyed his father's commands and joined his brother, resulting in him being wounded in action on Korriban. When the twin princes returned to Zakul to present their trophies, Valkorion merely turned his back on them. Embracing the dark side, Arcan lunged to attack his father, only to be restrained by Thexan, resulting in Arcan accidentally killing his twin. Thexan's death then was covered up and publicly blamed as a casualty in the Core Worlds campaign, something that even his own Munya Senja would continue to propagate, as she had not been fed the whole truth. when the Outlander and Darth Maul, prominent members who aided in the final defeat of Tenebrae, were captured by Arcan after a major battle in which Maul's ship was destroyed. The Emperor had a discussion with them. Both the Outlander and Maul knew that Valkorion's true identity was nothing less than that of the Sith Emperor Vitiate, whom they had been searching for after the skirmish on Yavin 4 with the reborn Revan. Valkorion stated that he would share his eternal empire with them if they would only kneel before him. Maul replied that he would never again kneel to Valkorion, and Maul was then executed by Valkorion after he used telekinesis to steal a Staver staff from one of the Knights of Zakul. The Outlander was then given the same proposal to choice to kneel before Valkorion, an opportunity that almost no one else had ever received. Arcan, now united by the fury of the dark side, betrayed his father in hatred, and Valkorion was killed. Unbeknownst to him, this was completely orchestrated by Valkorion, and he entombed his essence within the Outlander's very mind. Arcan claimed himself to be the new Emperor of the Eternal Empire, and froze the Outlander in carbonite, after realizing that his father had inhabited it as a vessel. Arcan used his father's death to wage a conquest of the core worlds that would see the Galactic Republic and the Sith Empire on the losing end, with the Eternal Fleet favouring ambush tactics and massive technological superiority that vastly outlined every other ship in the entire galaxy. At the end of the first year, the capitals of both Coruscant and Droman Cast were blockaded. Only ships outfitted with the element Isotope 5 were capable of outrunning them, but could never truly complete. After a year of the conflict, the governments of the Great Galactic War and the Galactic Republic, as well as the Sith Empire, represented by Senator Evron and Darth Rovron, had formed treaties agreeing to arms limitations. However, in 3631 BBY, Lana Beniko and Koth Fortena freed the Outlander from carbonite imprisonment, acquiring an ancient ship that was once part of the Eternal Fleet called the Gravestone, which was said to have eliminated a large portion of it, and created an alliance determined to destroy the Eternal Throne. Arcan, in response to this, resorted to using all his resources in the Eternal Empire to hunt down and destroy the threat to his power. In the wake of the Alliance's formation, many operational objectives were carried out, foremost being the destruction of star fortresses around potential ally worlds such as Alderaan, Voth, and Botholwai, that had kept them from getting in contact as a result of them being in orbits. Afterwards, by the end of the war with the Alliance, Emperor Arcan had been dethroned, and now Empress Valen, was now finally in control. She'd become too far to stop now, and after Arcan's brief bid to retake the throne, she absolutely annihilated him, not killing him, but she was capable of showing her latent force potential and overthrowing her brother. By the end of the war with the Alliance, however, the Emperor Arcan had been dethroned, and depending on how the story ends, he could have been killed. Empress Valen was killed personally by the Outlander, the only one of Valkorion's children to die without any form of light within her eyes, and Valkorion himself was destroyed through the use of a powerful holocron of his illegitimate father, all due in part to the actions of the galactic fame-spread Outlander. When Valen was killed, no successor to the throne was present, allowing the Outlander to take domination. The Eternal Empire was then dissolved, with some of its holdings acquired by the Alliance, which would reform into a full-fledged government known as the Eternal Alliance. Zakulans were generally raised in comfort and the safety of the Spire, and led easy lives of intellectual and creative pursuits. Despite this, some occasionally felt compelled to seek out less high-minded excitement. The Old World, the remnants of Valkorion's first attempt at a grand city, offered an opportunity for citizens of the Spire to indulge their need for exhilaration. Many Zakulans had paid at least one visit to cheer at the gladiator pits or sample in the red light district, and countless more simply ventured down to tour the seedy streets and thrill to distasteful and the taboo. The Eternal Empire's military was composed primarily of sky troopers, as well as the Knights of Zakul. It did possess biologists, mainly found however from the star fortresses. Other human officers included as well, such as the rogue Koth Fortena. Other personnel in the Empire's military included the Eternal Empire troopers and their variants. During the Empress Valis' reign, the Horizon Guard was formed to serve her directly, and to surpass the Knights of Zakul, who had failed to defend her during the Battle of Odessen. With the head of the Eternal Empire's military now being the High Justice, we now want to move on to the Knights of Zakul themselves, and perhaps the most powerful force-wielding sect besides the Jedi and the Sith, and perhaps the Night Sisters. The Knights of Zakul, also known as the Zakulian Knights, were an order of force-sensitive warriors who served the Emperor of the Eternal Empire, Valkorion. They differed in their philosophy from both Jedi and Sith of the era, believing that their Force was a tool to be used in the pursuit of justice, and that they drew connection to the Force directly from Emperor Valkorion, something that was actually true, with Valkorion making himself basically a Force battery for the Knights. The closer they were to Valkorion, the more formidable they would be within the Force. The Knights served Valkorion's successors Arcan and Valen, opposing the Eternal Alliance and their commander during the war against the Zakuul. However, after the downfall of the Eternal Empire, some of the Knights joined the Alliance to act as personal guards of the Alliance leaders. Despite this, many of the remaining Knights joined and led Zakuulian splinter groups such as the Order of Zildron, and many other Knights perished fighting previously for their home world. The Knights of the Zakuul served to protect the Emperor of the Eternal Empire and enforce justice throughout the Empire. Unlike the Jedi or Sith, the Knights of the Zakuul accepted finding power of the Force, but unlike the Sith of their time, were encouraged to collectively give information as well, emphasizing the importance of the Knight exploring their own personal connection to the Force, studying both light and dark. Eschewing the strict codes of the Jedi, no area of the Force was deemed too weak or irrelevant for a Knight to pursue further knowledge, and in no areas of the Force were off limits for Knights to study in their pursuit of power. However, whilst the pursuit of unlimited power drew natural comparisons between the Knights of the Zakuul and the Sith, Knights were encouraged to share their findings with the rest of the Order, rather than hoarding information for themselves, building up an empire and not an individual. This is one of the changes I believe was made by Vitiate. Vitiate, who had ruled the Sith for 1300 years, knew exactly the Sith's greatest weakness, their lust for power, and their ability to hoard it, building up themselves and not an army of individuals, seeing that if they had shared all their knowledge with one another, they would be unstoppable. Sith of the reconstituted Sith Empire, such as Lana Beniko, viewed Knights as ineffective combatants when faced in single combat, as their use of the dark side without adherence to the Sith code limited their ability to channel anger through the Force. A subgroup of the Knights, the Seons, were comprised of Force sensitives who could peer into the future through the Force. However, after the death of Valkorion, his successor Arcan ordered a violent purge of the Seons, creating a schism within the Knights of Zakuul, between the ones that would obey their Emperor and the ones that would not. The Knights of Zakuul were known for their distinctive lightsaber plight, usually wielded alongside a shield for deflecting blaster fire, though Knights were also known to utilize standard lightsabers and double-bladed lightsabers in combat. Knights favoured the use of blue kyber crystals in construction of their weaponry, utilising a blue Adagan crystal, with the exception of cybernetically enhanced Knights assigned to guard the Eternal Empire's star fortresses, who wielded orangey yellow-bladed crystals. Exarchs were also known to utilise a wider range of crystals in the construction of their lightsabers. The standard unification and uniform of the Knights of Zakuul was a suit of gold-coloured armour. Knights were taught to forge their own armour from a young age, a practice that extended to the future Emperor Arcan. Exarchs were known to have worn enhanced or upgraded variants of the standard knight armour, adapted to draw power from the sun generators powering their star fortresses. The Knights of Zakuul were basically an average Jedi and Sith, incredibly impressive, considering these guys were basically the bulk of the entirety of the Eternal Empire's military, and just got stronger if they were in the presence of Valkorion. However, now allow us to move on to the poster child of the Eternal Empire, the Eternal Fleet itself. We'll have to keep this one pretty brief. The Eternal Fleet was an ancient armada created on the planet of Iokath by the builders of Ikoath. It was operated by a series of sentient droids, and manipulated through the Eternal Throne. The Eternal Flagship was a capital ship that served as the flagship of the Eternal Fleet, and was utilised by the First Eternal Empire, and later by the Eternal Alliance. It was built thousands of years before the events of the Old Republic game, and was made by composition, an immense fleet composed of alien battle cruisers of an unknown design, which were roughly equal or greater in length than that of a Terminus-class Star Destroyer used by the Sith Empire. They were highly advanced, possessing cloaking technology, and operated by sentient droids. In combat, they were able to overwhelm almost any other vessel. They were very fast, as only vessels retrofitted with Isotop 5 were capable of outrunning them. The Republic and Imperial ships weren't able to compete with them in combat. These capital ships carried dropships to perform both atmosphere and space combat to land troops along with developing starfighters, and also possessed Skytrooper boarding pads to descend into the penetrator of the hull of an enemy vessel, allowing their droid occupants to cause damage throughout multiple sections of a targeted ship. By lining up in a precisely calibrated array formation, the fleet could release a powerful combined attack. If one of the arranged vessels was destroyed while charging, they would all violently explode, destroying anything within the blast radius instantly. The Eternal Fleet was very similar to the Infinite Empire, and in my opinion, I would actually go as far to say that it would require the power of the Galactic Imperial Fleet, with Darth Vader and Grand Admiral Thrawn using the power of the Death Star in order to contend with the Eternal Fleet. In my mind, the most powerful fleet in all of Star Wars lore, with its only rival being the Yuzong Vong Fleet and the Infinite Empire's fleet. Following the events which transpired on Umbara and Corpera, the apparent treachery of Theron Shan and the Eternal Alliance found itself in the crosshairs of an organization known as the Order of Zildrog, under the leadership of a former Horizon Guard member Vin Atreus. This group of fanatics sought to destroy the Eternal Alliance by supposedly resurrecting the Dragon God, which is their namesake. However, the Dragon God of Zakul was all a ruse, and it was an advanced AI much similar in the vein to the Zakulian Pantheon, which turned out to be constructs fabricated by the builders of Isokrak, except Zildrog's body, as it were, was the gravestone itself. Upon activation, Zildrog seized control of the ship and employed its Omnicannon ability to utterly annihilate the Eternal Fleet in orbit above Odessin, bringing end to the tyrannical armada once and for all. So my friends, what did you think of this video and this breakdown on perhaps the most tyrannical and devastating fleet to have? Fleet was commanded by Vitiate, Dark Lord of the Sith, and personally, it is one of the most tyrannical and intimidating in all of Star Wars lore, composed of thousands of ships single-handedly. It is no doubt that Vitiate managed to subjugate the entire galaxy through use of the fleet, and no doubt that Arcan, even though he was nowhere near the wisdom or power of his father, and Valen, would have actually managed to subjugate the galaxy as well as they did during their times as Emperor and Empress respectively. Farewell, acolyte to the Eternal Empire. I'll see you in a galaxy far, far away. And remember, kneel before the dragon of Zakul.